What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Doubted. My name's Christian Montuano. Today, we're here with Trent Watson. Trent, he's a scouting analyst at Made Hoops, also the host of, or the founder of Baseline to Baseline, and board of directors of the D1 Showcase down in Delaware. Trent, how you doing today? Appreciate you coming on.
Man, I'm doing great today, Chris. Appreciate you for having me on, man. It's always a great time when I can catch up with you, and chat and
Yes,
talk
sir.
about.
Yeah, little different from our past conversations. Gonna really get in depth about just your role, your background, and then also currently where grassroots as well as college basketball is at now with the transfer portal and all that. So I'm really excited to get your perspective, and I think that your insight and just background as a whole would be very helpful to anybody who's watching this. So I think I'll begin just for you, growing up in Delaware, right near Philly's a big basketball hub around you. Just for you, man, like tell us a bit about your background growing up. I assume basketball was a huge part of your life, but just talk a bit about where you're from and just growing up where you grew up.
Yeah, man. Well, the story begins in New York City or East Side Manhattan.
Okay.
That's really where I'm from, where my family's from.
Okay.
That's kind of where I got introduced to the game of basketball. Growing up with two older brothers, we're 12 and 13 years apart. And they grew up kind of in that golden era of New York City hoops. So me, I kind of just got lucky, like growing up with two guys like that who kind of are known in the city and are a part of that culture. They just instilled it in me. So hooping was kind of something I was born into. But like growing up out here in Delaware, it's a little different from the New York City basketball culture. Like you know how that is, Christian. But I think what it did was it instilled all those early that early love and those early feelings and that early interest of the game in general. With me growing up in New York City and then coming out here, the game just stuck with me. So I would say, early AAU experiences. I played with a guy, by the name of Trey Duval, who everyone's pretty familiar with. We played on the Under Armour circuit together for 3 years where we are one. And that's kind of where I got introduced to like the high level elite grassroots basketball.
Yeah.
That was kind of when Under Armour circuit was really just starting, like really just turning into a thing.
I mean, they had some really good guys back then too. I mean, it's not the same year, but think about like Suggs and Chet when they were on the same team. Like that was kind of maybe a few years later than that, but
Yeah.
yeah, definitely a good era of Under Armour hoops for sure.
Yeah, that was like I want to say the first year they had UA Nationals in like Milwaukee. We took like a charter bus from Delaware to Milwaukee. It was crazy. It was like mad long. We had like I want to say 2, 3 buses for like the 15s, the 16s, and the 17s. We just always together, and that kind of introduced me to what high level basketball, high level athletes, and high level grassroots. That kind of introduced me to all of that. Outside of like my family and
Yeah.
just growing up in New York and just being around pros at a young age, that the AAU experience allowed me to be in it myself and see it for myself.
Yeah. Nah, Trey's high school mixtape was insane too. Like you think about guys that had great mixtapes, whether that's Ball is Life or whatever mixtapes were out there back then. I mean, his was crazy, and I don't think a lot of people know that. I mean, he's from Delaware, right?
So Trey, he's also a New Yorker
Okay,
like me,
he played high school in Jersey though. I
but
think.
yeah, he's a Delaware kid too, man. He grew up out here in Delaware.
Yeah,
He definitely went to school in Jersey for a few years. If I'm not mistaken, he was at Benedict's for a few years, and then he was at API down in Texas with like T Ferg, Billy Preston. These some names that some of these guys might not be familiar with. They might got to do their research, but Billy Preston, Teeth,
Really
Terrence
impressive.
Ferguson, like those were the top guys, like in my class, like 2016 ish, 2017 ish, like Mark Vital, those guys.
Okay. Yeah. So I want to take it back to just what you were saying first about growing up in New York City. I agree, like the New York basketball culture, there's nothing like it when you think about just how each borough I think has its own identity, its own history in a sense.
Yeah,
You have all those courts, all the different parks. I mean, we've been at the Rucker together the past couple years with Slam. I mean,
yeah,
that's one right there. Dykeman is another
Dykeman.
one. Like, there's so many out there. What? Yeah, so many. Like even ones that maybe the country doesn't know about, but people in New York, like that's their spot, that's where they go. And it's just one of those cities where like back in the day, you know, kids would walk around and they'd just have a basketball in their hand all the time. And that's what a lot of the guys that maybe are in the league now or really good players, they talk about how they always had the ball in their hand. And I think that that's lost nowadays in a way. But I think New York is one of those places still where like you could be anywhere and I wouldn't be surprised if kids like still dribble basketballs around schools up there. Like they just love basketball, the passion, and we even saw like this past year with Slam 2 and just all the years the amount of kids that gravitate towards their favorite players.
Yeah,
These guys come from all over the country to the Rucker and everybody shows up. So that culture is really something special and you really got to see it for yourself at the end of the day. But, you know, for you growing up there and having two older brothers who were in that golden age, like first off, who, you know, maybe from watching them play or conversations with them that maybe you had back then or you have like now, you know, who were some what were some of those memories that maybe they had that like you shared with them or guys that you maybe saw them playing against and you were like, wow, like this is
yeah, man.
playing against him, like my brothers, you know, in this gym. Like what were some of those moments that you can remember?
That's a great question, Chris. Yeah, man. I don't know. This is probably like 20 from like 2012 to like 2013 ish, maybe
Yeah.
2011, 2013 ish. I want to say like I was in like eighth grade. From eighth grade to like my sophomore year of high school, I had by this time I had lived in Delaware, but my brothers still lived in New York, both of them. So I used to stay the summers in New York City, and just train, just hang out with my bros, stuff like that. And I don't remember, like, I don't know if a lot of people will remember, but this was like such a golden time for hoops at Dykeman in particular because Nike was doing the series, like the Team Nike thing that they used to do at Dykeman in the summer, and they used to have like all the top pros in the city like playing for Team Nike, and they used to play against like other pros from either other boroughs or other states. I know my brother was working on it, so he remembers everything like in particular. But I just remember being like wide eyed, bright eyed, and just being like, man, like at Dykeman at the games, like I just remember the environment was like no other type of environment to where like I'm a 14-year-old kid out there and I'm standing shoulder to shoulder with Kemba Walker. You know what I mean? In the
Yeah.
stands, like we in the stands together. Like this the type of environment it is. It's like, Kemba Walker, who's a New York City legend, is out here and he's just taking it in as a spectator like me, a 14-year-old kid, you know what I mean? And we're both enjoying it. Um, Guys like, J.R. Smith had came through just to watch, had the kids going crazy, you know what I mean? They love J.R. Smith. So like, um, but search a few guys early on, like I remember a guy named Jordan Theodore. Jordan Theodore. He played at Seton Hall. Good friend of my older brothers. They used to train together. We used to have me and him like in the gym together. when he was working out, and he's one of the first people who showed me how a pro trains, because I was like ninth grade, and we used to work out in like a gym, like a small church gym in like North Jersey. And I remember being like super tired, Chris. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going through the workout, bro. I ain't even really get to the workout yet. Like, I'm still in the beginning. I'm super tired, Chris. I remember seeing Jordan just come in there, bro, going crazy hard, like going through it. Mind you, he told me, like, yeah, I'm going this hard in this workout right now. I just ran 5 miles this morning. You feel me? I just ran 5 miles this morning. Now we in the gym together. It's probably like 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock. So I'm in my head, I'm thinking like, how you ran 5 miles? It's not even 10 o'clock yet, 9 o'clock yet. You feel me? So and then it's like he like, yeah, I'm gonna work out here today for 3 hours, and then I got 2 games tonight in the city, and that kind of showed me like early on, like okay, pros are different. Mind you, this a guy, he didn't make the league. He had a great overseas career. Like Jordan Theodore is one of the most coveted, overseas players really from the last decade. But that just showed me right then and there, like he's not even in the NBA, and this is the way he's working. I got It's different. You know what I mean? It shows you up close, like how a pro trains, how a pro carries himself, conducts himself, and the work ethic, what it takes. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, so that your eye for like or just recognition of the work that you got to put in order to get to not only like the pro level and overseas and NBA or whatever, but also like the college level too. So that's been developing for a minute. But for you, man, like talked about New York City and just your experience over there a bit. I'll say too, like so I'll ask this, like during your day to day in the city, I touched on just overall the passion and the I guess even hustle, like the hustle up there when these kids are trying to play ball or they're trying to get around basketball, kids at the Rucker like trying to climb the fence in order to like see people play their favorite high school players play, like just the passion is really evident there for you in your day to day besides going to Dykeman and seeing those big events with Kemba Walker in the stands, J.R. Smith attending, all that, pros from the city all over the place coming to play. When you were going through your day to day, whether that was school or just walking around or playing pickup, like with maybe some friends or just what did you notice about that era of basketball within the city that you recognize, like even during your day-to-day conversations or just the vibe around the game of basketball in the city?
What did I notice about it?
Yeah, because that was early Mellow days in New York too. Like, I think they had a couple playoff runs during that time. I think they played the Heat in the playoffs like one year. I mean, basketball during that time, really was, like you said, in a golden era and produced a lot of great players during that time. So, was there anything maybe outside of any events that you were at or conversations with your brothers that like you remember now as, hey, basketball around that time was just different?
Yeah, man. I think like I said, like just the different types of events that were happening. This is kind of when, like, I don't know how to put it. This I won't say this is when social media was taking off, but this is when like social media was becoming different, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like you remember Vine?
Yeah, Vine, yeah.
Yeah, like this is around the time like before TikTok. We
Yep.
had we had Vine, like you know what I mean. Like we had Vine. That's when Twitter videos were starting to go crazy. So like the social media era was starting to hit, but also um I just grew up watching guys also like to piggyback off that last question, like Sebastian Telfair.
Yeah.
Um, his documentary inspired probably thousands of New York City kids. Lance Stevenson, Born Ready. huge Lance Stevenson fan, like, still to this day. Like, can't nobody tell me nothing about Lance Stevenson, like, that's my dog, you feel me? So, I think, just one, I think people take pride in it, like,
Yeah.
being from the city and wanting to, kinda wear that on their sleeve, and, like,
Lance still shows up, like, Lance still comes to a
Lance
lot.
still be outside, you
Yeah,
feel me? Like, you know what I mean? And I think, like, it's the togetherness too, kinda, like, in the city. Like, it just means something different. Like,
for
it's a different level of passion, kinda how you said earlier, like, it's a different kind of passion, it's a different kind of love, but I also think it's also an escape. I think it's also an escape, like, it's a way for, guys to change their situations and to, put their family into better positions. So I think, just coming from those inner city vibes and those towns and those cities, I think it just instills a different hunger in the kids. Plus, like with that, saying that, plus just the rich culture that the New York City hoops has, I think it's just that's why we've seen for years on years on years on years of guys constantly coming out of New York City.
definitely. And man, like, one thing that was just crazy for me to notice my first year going up to the Rucker for Slam, like, just the fact that you got this park right here and the people that are there, the celebrities, the pros, and then literally right across the street you have I forget what building it is, but you got like an apartment building and surrounding the park, it's, areas where, kids like when Slam happens, when the Summer Classic happens, that's those kids, like, that's their thing, like, they go outside for that, kids leave their apartments, their homes, like, with their families and go right outside and you got some of the best basketball players in the world right there, and so it's just crazy when you have all of those, a mix of different cultures, a different backgrounds, different life experiences in one area, and I think that that's besides just basketball, but just the city in general curates those environments, and I think that that's very special. Um, yeah, now, well, um, I think that's a good transition into when you moved down to Delaware and how you um maybe saw a different side of basketball or had a different perspective or maybe saw like because Delaware's a state that I don't think people really know much about it and the hoopers that have come out, right? Like what was that experience for you? How has it been just transitioning from that city life to going down to Delaware?
Yeah, I think honestly, Chris, like my mom told me we was moving to Delaware. I was a young kid, so I didn't even know what Delaware was, bro. She said we moving to Delaware. I said, "What is that?" You feel me? Like where? Then we get here, get out to Delaware. I'm like, damn, like we got grass. Like I got a backyard. Like I got a driveway. Like what is? It was so much like room. I didn't even know what to do. Like I didn't literally had no idea what to do. And Delaware is not really a huge basketball state.
Yeah.
It's more prevalent like northern Delaware, like Wilmington area, which I think is mostly where a lot of people are familiar with Delaware. Like they resonate with Wilmington. I live a little bit more further south in Dover, which is the capital of Delaware.
Mhm.
So, it's kind of like different. Like Wilmington is more like New York, like it's more city. It's like Philly almost.
Okay.
Delaware, I mean, Dover's kind of like more rural area, suburban area, stuff like that. But I can get to Wilmington in like 30 minutes from where I live at. So, it's kind of like the best of both worlds. But I say all that to say, like, when I first got out here and I lived in Dover, like, it's not a huge basketball culture in Delaware at like general. Like, really, it's really not in Dover. So I kind of just like, my dad, I think, signed me up for like a rec league. I didn't know nobody, but I just knew I could hoop. So it's like, and it's hoopers everywhere you go. So like, I just kind of I came out here and made a name for myself, and the rest was history. I started playing AAU. I started to get recognized. I watched guys like I don't know if you remember, but guys like Trevor Cooney, does that name ring a bell?
No.
So Trevor Cooney is like one of the best players to come out of Delaware in recent time. I want to say he graduated my freshman year of high school, but he went to Syracuse. Syracuse alumni. Um, had a great career at Syracuse too. Uh, so I kind of grew up watching guys like him. Um, One of my big homies that I hang with now, Anthony Mosley. Anthony Mosley was like one of the first Delaware kids to play on like DC Assault back in the day. Um, when that DC Assault era was going on, when they was like running through everybody in the country, like DC Assault could not be beaten. So my boy Ant, shout out to Ant. And then like my crop, I feel like my crop is kind of special because we had a lot of guys go D1. Obviously, we had Dante DiVincenzo, who everybody knows is from here, played
Yep.
at Salesianum High School, state champion, all that good stuff. Played with Team Final.
Yep.
I'm trying to think. We had a lot of guys like come out of here that people just don't wouldn't know of. We had Ben Bentil. Ben Bentil ended up getting drafted by the Celtics. He graduated high school like 2015. I think he's class of 15, no, 14. One of those, or 13. Went to Providence, got drafted by the Celtics. He's probably a Providence legend still to this day.
Yeah.
I want to
Okay.
say he was there with Chris Dunn.
All right.
So yeah, like we got guys like and then obviously like Trey Duval came out of here. Eric Ayala, who's in the G League now, went to Maryland. Guys like Mikey Dixon, Jordan Allen, my boy Jordan Allen, who really put on for Dover, ended up playing for the Westchester Knicks. Um, it's a lot of guys that come out of here that are kind of like hometown heroes that that go on and do great things, come back and pour into the community. And so now we got guys like the five star guy Mason Collins, who isn't from here, but he's here now. So, he's putting on for Delaware. He's part of the culture.
Legendary player of the year, right?
Yeah, he just got player of the year. So, he's also part of, the culture now and taking it further and inspiring the next gen because we haven't had a five-star recruit here since I've been here, living here. You know what I mean?
Hey, and if you don't know Mason Collins yet, I mean, this summer might, it'll wake some people up.
Yeah, yeah.
They got a squad that
That
could be
CP3 team,
six.
right?
What?
That CP3 team, right?
SP3, I think it's 16s. It's him, Bentley, I
And
mean,
Lil Chris.
yeah, Lil Chris. So, um, yeah, that'll be something for sure.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, it's for me, man, like I'm center in New Jersey, like Trenton, right
Yeah,
there. So, around that area, and I never really made it out to Delaware much. Think I went there because my cousin, she went to University of Delaware, and we went to her graduation. That's the only time I've ever been to
yeah,
Delaware. Um, and even when you were at DMV Live, right?
yeah,
Yeah, like even when I drove down to DMV Live, I drove like around Delaware. I didn't even drive through Delaware.
yeah, yeah. And I
Yeah, but
mean,
it's
we also I forgot some guys too, like Bones Highland. Bones Highland obviously is probably the fan favorite right now because he's the most relevant. He's hooping right now with Ant Man, and then my boy Rob Wright the third, who just re-signed at BYU. So
yes, yes,
if Delaware is it's a funny thing that they say like if you want a good guard, Delaware has guards. And if you look at our track record, it's true. Then we got Rob's little brother Munchie. Munchie's about to go play at Towson. Latrell just signed to Harcum. You feel me? So he's about to, the right family is carrying the torch.
yeah.
Shout out to those
Shout
guys.
out to them. Yeah, shout out to them.
Shout out to Mar, shout out to Big Rob, shout out to Scoop. And then it's they still got more coming down the pipe, Chris. They got Carter and Kobe are young boys running around the gym.
Yep. They
They
got
love it, man. They gonna rights to put on.
hey, they got I mean, yeah, the little ones too, they're hey, when you got Rob and Munchie like as people to look up to and those are your big brothers. I mean, hey, I've heard stories about, Big Rob, like how he would train how he would train, his kids like I mean, it's they really pass it down and they're gonna learn the same things that Rob and Munchie learned. So something for sure that they're gonna be names to know.
Yeah, hearing about I say, yeah, you're gonna be hearing about them soon.
Yeah. Um, Shout out to Team Final too. Because I mean, no, all those Delaware guards, a lot of them played for Final. Shout out to them.
Yeah. Shout out to Catholic League because they come and all players. The PCL come to
Yeah.
Delaware and takes all our players. So I'm
Yeah.
going to speak on it for sure. They
Yeah.
definitely they're good job in coming in, and taking our talent.
Hey, those sidetrack, but those PCL Final Four like in the Palestra haven't made it out there yet.
Yeah.
Some videos and it
Chris, the environment is
man.
second to none, bro.
Yeah.
Second to none, bro. Got
Hey,
it.
I saw Yeah, I saw I mean one guy I know I mean Cape Goss hit a game winner when he was with Archbishop Brian hit a game winner in the Palestra and that's somebody's dream right there. Like that's what it where it all comes down to. Yeah, definitely like the PCL and Philly basketball as a whole has some really great I feel like Philly might be in the shadow just of New York being kind of right there, but it's its whole different type of player, whole different culture out there, and I don't think it gets a lot of love. But when Philly basketball is at the top, it's a fun time. Like when Team Final won the Peach Jam title, like in my opinion, I think that that's a team that people to this day still remember. The amount of guys that have went to the college level, got Jalen Duren, who's I mean, one of the best big men in the NBA now. Yeah, so when Philly basketball is good, it's a fun time for everyone in basketball. That's definitely a good
Even
time. But
Jalen Duren is a guy with Delaware ties. Even the middle school out in Delaware.
okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, man. So I want to transition into I guess when you started to really move in the direction of what you're doing now, scouting, being in the gym, being somebody that at the end of the day is just like you're tapped in with the culture and with different guys and with coaches and different things like that. I mean, you're tapped in with all that. So I want to begin just following your when you were playing the game of basketball. Was that something like going into scouting, staying around in the gym, like when you were transitioning into those roles, was it just for you, hey, I want to stay around basketball? Or what was that thought process for you when you started being in the gym, working with Made? Like what was that journey like for you? At the very beginning when you transitioned from a player to what you had going on like off the court.
Chris, that transition was kind of crazy because it came like real quick. And I had to make a decision real fast. But I feel like it stemmed from just, yeah, I knew if I wasn't going to be playing professionally, or even if I did make it to play like overseas professionally, I knew I wanted to be around the game for probably the rest of my life.
Mhm.
Kind of how May Hoops Trent came about. I mean, I was playing small D2 basketball. This is about my sophomore year of college. Was playing D2 basketball. Was having fun. You know what I mean? I was a starter. I was a starter at my new school. I did a year at JUCO, and then I did transferred out of JUCO, went to a D2. was starting that year, and then I had a red shirt. I had the red shirt the following year, due to like a credit issue. I think like took I took summer courses and I needed to take one more than I actually took, so I was like ineligible or something like that. So I redshirted that.
Importance of academic advisors.
Yeah, yeah,
Importance
for sure.
importance of
Yeah, yes, but yeah, man. So I had to redshirt. It was either sit the first half of the semester and come back that second half of the semester, or
Mhm.
just sit the whole year in redshirt. So I decided, man, I don't want to use that year eligibility. So I'm gonna just redshirt. I'm gonna just practice every day. I'm gonna get better. You know what I'm saying? Use this year to still work towards my degree, and then on the back end, I was planning on, getting my master's on that fifth year. So, I had a nice little plan, bro. Yeah. Then COVID hits. We're on a road trip. I get back to my room. I get an email from my school. They're like, yeah, y'all got 2 days to move y'all stuff out because the school is going on lockdown due to this global pandemic. So I'm like, all right. Like I'm not thinking much of it though. I'm like, all right, people getting sick, they catching a cold, the flu. We'll be back. Like it ain't gonna be nothing. Nah, nah, it didn't plan out like that. Yeah, I mean, that first year we were shut down. I thought we were gonna end up coming back to school the next year. Um, ended up ended up not reinstating us back. Then my coach ended up quitting because I was yeah, or I think I was gonna go back the following year. My coach quit. The new coach that came in, I wasn't really feeling his vibes. And my boy had a startup company called Overseas Basketball Connection. My boy Antonio DePina. You might know Antonio, Chris, or seen him before. But yeah, shout out Antonio. He created a league, his own professional league out in Africa, and we were helping guys get contracts. He made a business called Overseas Basketball Connection, and what we pretty much did was host combines in every major city in the country for guys that were home to play, get footage, and we had like overseas scouts like live stream. We had them watching it, and we would save the footage from the combines and send it over to the guys. So we was helping guys get deals in like Spain, Portugal.
Wow.
Yeah, it was mad cool, bro. It was mad cool.
Hey, what a great idea too.
Yeah, it was a huge success. And then he said, you know what? I want to do a league in Africa. So we did. He did a league in Africa for a few years. In Cape Verde, I was over there with him working like operations. I was scouting, so that's kind of where the scouting starts because I was scouting players to bring American players to bring over there for the league. So really, I was handpicking like all the talent. Like me and my boy Dev, we were going to the combines, hosting the combines, and we were handpicking the talent. The league had a bunch of talented players, and that's kind of when I found out, like, all right, I like scouting. Like, I know I can identify talent and which levels they should be playing at. So that's kind of what started the scouting. And then it's funny because when I was in Africa, I was just chilling for like after the season, like the season was over. So I was just chilling for probably like 2 weeks just in Africa on the island. So I hit Chad up. I hit Chad while I was still like out there because I knew I was coming home soon and I didn't have anything to do. So I hit Chad up.
You guys already have a relationship?
Yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna get to that. So yeah, I hit my boy Chad up. Mind you, I've known Chad since I was probably like 12. Cause the New York City connection, him and my brother grew up together. So back when Chad was at Hoop Group, Chad used to get me into the camps. You feel me? I was at all the future All American camps. I stayed at Albright. The camps, if you know, you know. Albright was the place to be. You know what I'm saying? So I stayed in Albright. So and I always had that relationship with Chad. So I hit Chad up. I'm like, yo, Chad, like I'm over in Africa right now. I'm coming home in like 2 weeks. I need something. Mind you, it's probably like June. So it's kind of like middle of the summer, which for us, Chris, that's like prime time. For people like me and you, like that's prime time. So Chad was like, "All right, bet when you get home, I'm gonna get you with Gary Williams. Obviously, you know Gary." And I was doing operations for Marquee. This is right before Marquee Nationals, and Marquee Nationals used to be a big thing. So I was kind of learning some more ops stuff under Gary, but obviously I had been doing ops already. Like I said, I was hosting major combines in all the major cities in the country, so like I wasn't unfamiliar with operations. So I thought operations was gonna be like my niche because I like to work behind the scenes. I don't really like to be in the forefront in the limelight and all
Right.
that good stuff. So I like to, get stuff done behind the scenes. So I thought ops was for me. I did ops as an intern with Marquee for the rest of the summer, and then after that, it was kind of slow. Like Marquee Marquee wasn't like made. And I know you remember like Marquee was pretty much big in the summer. But like in the winter, it really wasn't like a winter circuit like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't a lot going on. So like after Marquee Nationals, Gary wasn't really saying nothing. Gary wasn't really hitting me up or nothing like that. Like I'm not trying to throw you out under the bus or nothing, Gary. You know you're my guy, but I'm just telling the truth. So Gary wasn't hitting me up, and I didn't really have nothing to do. So this is like August now. At this point, I'm in my room, bro. I'm scrolling on Twitter on my phone. I see an ad pop up for the circuit. You know the circuit scouting.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay. It says like, yeah, we need scouts. We're looking for interns. I'm like, you know what? Why not? Like, Imma just apply. My resume is pretty good, like, I know basketball, so, like, why not? Literally, Chris, I applied. Alex Karamanos called me back or called my phone probably within the next 2 hours and was like, "Yo, your resume is great for what we're looking for what we need. Like, we wanna bring you on." I'm like, "Alright." Like, you feel me? I'm coming fresh out of college, I don't know nothing. Like, I'm in a
Yeah, bro.
pandemic, I'm just trying to do something productive. So I'm like, you know what? Why not? I'm gonna try it. So I was doing regional scouting for the circuit. I was covering my area, Delaware, Philly, Jersey, a little bit of Maryland, um, for the high school season. And then I did the summer. I finished the summer with them really. And then I want to say heading into that following fall, I saw Chad out here in Delaware at the Chase Fieldhouse, where the Blue Coats play at.
Okay.
They were hosting May Hoops was hosting like the warm up, like a warm up, like a fall warm up or something like that. And I just went out there just thinking like, all right, I'm gonna check out, the local team, see what they got going on. Saw Chad. This is the first time I really talked to Chad since I hit him up for him to give me a job. So he was like, "Yeah, bro, like what you got going on? Like what you doing?" Chad, I'm trying to do the scouting thing, like with the circuit. Excuse me, Chad was pretty much like, "Yeah, me and my boy Eric Hanford, the legend Eric
Yeah.
Hanford.
Hey, legend.
Legend, bro.
Now you know where he's at. I mean, he's a legend.
Yeah, bro. So he was like, Chad was like, me and my boy Eric Hanford got something big coming soon in like the next 6 weeks. This is when they were working on Made Society. You know Made Society now. This is like when it first was coming about. So I'm like, all right. So I hit Chad in 6 weeks exactly. I hit him 6 weeks exactly. He's like, all right, bet I'm gonna put you on the phone with Eric. I'm like, all right, cool. I didn't know Eric at the time, but Eric knew who I was. Funny story about that. So me and Eric get on the Zoom call. Eric's all like happy, like super happy. He's like, "Yo, Trent, what's up, bro? Like, how you doing?" I'm
We
just
know you from when like
when
you
I was
play.
a player, mind you, Chris. I'm about to put it all together for you, right? So he like, "Yo, like, how you doing, bro? Like, I ain't seen you in so long." Mind you, Chris, I'm looking at him like, bro, I've never like, I don't know you. Like, you feel me? He like, Eric, like, yo, you don't remember me? I'm like, nah, bro, I can't even say I do. Whole time, bro, You know Flynn too. Brian
Who?
Flynn. Brian Flynn.
Yeah,
The whole time, bro, I wanna say my 10th grade year, I went to a camp that Eric and Flynn was hosting, bro, and I made the All-Star game, and that's how they remember me. It's insane, bro, how everything is full circle. Everything is full circle.
literally.
He like, "Yeah, like, you went to Future 150 camp in 2014, like, you made the All-Star game, it was me and Brian Flynn running that." And I was like, "What? There's no way, like, I don't remember y'all, but, like, I'm super happy that it was y'all that, were doing it and that I ran into you now."
Yeah,
So Eric was more than happy to, like, hire me and bring me on. I learned a lot from him, like, when I was first starting, and then obviously, Eric, within, like, my first 2 years, Eric was out of here, now he's with the Pelicans, but then, like, Brian Flynn came back, and now, like, me and Flynn are, like, inseparable. Like, that's, like, my manager, but, like, when I tell you, like, that's my mentor, like, Flynn is, like, my best friend, like, I can hit him up and talk about anything, like, you know what I mean? So, those 2 guys, man, shout out to Eric Hanford and shout out to Flynn, man, those guys have been instrumental in, helping me develop and expediting my development also as a scout because it's certain nuances kinda as a scout that's a little deeper than just knowing basketball and being able to analyze. It's a little bit deeper than that, especially at May Hoops or what we do. It's really like getting to know these kids and the families and stuff like that. So it's a little bit more that goes into it that's not surface level.
right.
And they taught me so much.
Relationship, it's a
Yeah,
ship thing.
yeah, bro. And it's like relationships and it's certain like, formalities, like just as far as like what you might say on Twitter or like the verbiage you might use and stuff like that. Um and then it's also just being like experienced and being seasoned as a vet. Like when you're young into it and you're new into it, those top players, like you might not have seen things like that before at that age. So, it might it's easy to fall in love with prospects sometimes, but it's like a guy like Flynn or Hanford who's been in it for 20 years, like they've seen it before. You know what I mean? So it's like they know how to really decipher, like, okay, this kid might be a phenom right now, but it's some
Yeah.
question marks down the road. So like, yeah, man, those guys were instrumental to me. Now here we are, man. I think what is this year 4 for me at Made or 3, going on year 4, one of the two.
Mhm.
I just been scouting and here I am, made hoops trends, what everybody calls me.
Yes, sir. I wanna touch on that point you made about the certain nuances and even from the perspective of like falling in love with players too quick, like kind of being so high on them that you maybe lose sight of like the bigger picture at the end of the day. I'll say this from like my perspective. I've always been a fan of basketball, always been around basketball. My high school, like we weren't very good, but I was just kind of always that kid that like I didn't play on the team, but I went to like pretty much every game. I knew all the players from my area, just kind of always knew what was going on in the game of basketball around my area. And then for me, like going over to school at Michigan State, I mean, what is up and that program has become like people go there just for their sports and like their I guess just like being a fan of those programs. And so for me, like developing I guess an eye for basketball and like a passion, a love for it at the end of the day, not as a player but as just somebody who appreciated the game and what it brought to so many people. Because I think where I'm from is very similar to like I guess maybe where you are now, Trent, like in Delaware, where you have, for me, I got Trenton, which is like 15 minutes from me. You got Wilmington, which is fairly close to you. Like it's a city, and you talked about the guys that have come out of Delaware. I mean, for me, like Miles Powell, he's somebody who my mom and dad went to high school with. his father, who recently passed away, rest in peace to him. That was just, he was one of the best players too. Like Noel Powell, he was one of the best players to come out of Trenton. And then son Miles goes on and wins the Jerry West Award at Seton Hall. Funny story about, or funny, I guess, fact, there's only three father-son there's 3 father-son duos in my county, which is Mercer County, to have scored 1,000 career points. Both of them scored 1,000 career points in their high school career. One of them is Noel Powell and Miles. The second, I don't know who the second is, and then the third is Sean Hammond and Tyler Hammond,
Okay.
who I'm good friends with both of them. Tyler plays for Thrive Charter, which was Trenton Catholic, which is where Miles played and all that. So, I say all that to say, like, just for me, like being around basketball is something where, I'm from like a suburb, but being able to see how the kids from Trenton, like they saw basketball, how you said a lot of kids up in the city do as an escape and as a way to get their families out of different, out of a situation that they didn't want to be in and just struggling for a while and they were able to change their families' lives. I mean, you look at Thomas Sorber is another one, from, Mercer County, from around that area, and then went on and now he's in the NBA, played at Archbishop Bryan in Philly. But for me, man, like just you could watch basketball all you want. You could watch it, TV, all that, but when you sit in a room, story from Peach Jam. I was down in Augusta for Peach Jam and I'm sitting in like an Airbnb and it's all the made guys. It's think Luke was in there, maybe Tilly, Chase, like all those guys, they're talking ball, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I feel kind of, I feel like I don't know enough to like even speak. Like I just absorbed everything that they were talking about, and just the way that they talk about the game is second to none, and it's something that like me who loves the game and has been around it almost my whole life, like, I didn't have words. I was just in awe and just absorbing all of the knowledge and all the things that they were saying. I mean, what people don't understand about, or realize about Made, and shout out to the podcast, by the way. I know Nick and Doug just put out a podcast episode today, which, I wanna watch at some point, but go check that out. I mean, Doug, he's a Division One has had experience at the Division One level. Believe Nick has as well. I don't know Nick, but I think, I definitely know he's experienced and all that, but people don't recognize like the backgrounds that everybody has. I mean, people coming from top high school programs, D1 college programs to coach or run events
Yeah.
like at Made. I
Yeah.
mean, Luke in particular was at Link Academy early, first year maybe, or something, like, early at Link and was traveling with USA Basketball. Like, that was the one thing that I noticed when I started working with Made and maybe just, those different roles within basketball is, like, the different backgrounds that these guys have and wow, like you're you're traveling the country and you're running these events and when you were in college you were like overseas in Portugal with like the USA team back when they had like Jalen Suggs, Chet, like all these guys that are now in the NBA. I mean, these guys, like people don't recognize the backgrounds and the experience that a lot of people that the Made staff and you included like has within the game of basketball. And so I definitely resonate with that point about the certain nuances and the experience that these guys have that Eric has, where, he understands that it goes way beyond like what they're doing this summer or this game or whatever. I remember just for me, like where I'm from, not a lot of kids, it's funny to say where I'm at now, but not a lot of kids where I'm from could really dunk like that. And so when I would go to a Made like first couple made hoops events, and I see kids throwing down like maybe like I saw an East Bay one time and I was like, this kid's in high school. Like what is this? You know, little things like that got people, it's all about exposure, right? So I definitely see for you like how that was something that you had to get used to, was just not falling in love with a guy's game too quick and understanding the bigger picture. But for you, man, like starting off traveling, going to a lot of different made hoops events and being around the game that way. Like when I met you, you were scouting, but you were also helping with events too. Like you were really doing a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Have you always been just that like, hey, hustler, whatever you need from me, I'm there? Like, has that always been you?
Kinda, kinda, cause just me being who I am, like, I'm always the person that's, like, gonna find a way to make myself useful. Like, that's kinda also who I was as a player. Like, my
Okay.
best attributes was probably, like, my shooting, my defense, and my IQ, and it was just like, even as a player, like, if I'm not making shots, I'm gonna defend, I'm gonna rebound, I'm gonna be vocal, just find ways to impact. So I look at it like the same way. And I also, like I said, like I started out in operations. So some of that stuff that you learn, it stays with you, bro. It sticks with you. So it's like I also feel like, being a young person in sports, it kind of poses you at an advantage to kind of be it where kind of like a jack of all trades.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't really put me in a box, which I feel like I take pride in
Mhm.
because a lot of people in this industry are kind of like they have done different jobs, but a lot of people are specialists. Like, a lot of people are good at ops, a lot of people are good at sales. You know what I mean? Maybe, yeah, they can evaluate here and there. Some people are good at, bridging the gap with relationships, like, everybody. But me personally, I feel like I can do everything. I look at it like I'm Brian. Like you can't put
Yeah,
me in a box. Like if scouting was to end today, I know how to run operations or run events, like, or somewhat, like, maybe not everything, but like I'm well versed in different areas to where I can add value.
for sure. And just even the gyms that you've been in and the people that you've been around, like that would make that transition even easier. Like if scouting were to end today, I mean, you've been in just from absorbing like things, and maybe you're not consciously doing it, but you see how somebody does a brand partnership, or you see how somebody sets up an event, like you
Yeah,
see somebody on a sales call like locking in a new team on the circuit, or something like that. Like you see, you learn from doing, but you also learn from um
watching,
yeah, the people that
observing.
the people that
Even to
you're around.
piggyback off of what you said, Chris, like with being just around the May team and how many like different people have different skill sets, I'm just a sponge, bro. I take stuff from everybody, like, and it's helped me tremendously, like especially like with me being a director now for like my own showcase, like my own high
Yeah,
school showcase.
we'll get to that.
Yeah, just being like seeing how high school showcases are ran and seeing what makes them pop and seeing what logistics goes into making sure these teams can get out here, like, and travel and make sure they have lodging and all that stuff, like just being a part of like Jordan Holiday Classic and
Yep.
the Army National Guard events that May does, and shit, Slam Summer Classic, like all the behind the scenes stuff. I've been able to take something from somebody, whether that's Chelsea, Jeff, Doug, Luke, whoever it is, and apply it to anything that I'm doing.